General Mamady Doumbouya seized power in a coup in 2021 and vowed to return the country to civilian rule by the end of last year. Although the draft constitution would pave the way for elections to be held, it is controversial because it would also allow members of the military to seek office, extend presidential terms from 5 years to 7 years, and make it harder for political parties to run in elections. Here's our cover report from Conakry, Guinea. "4 years after the military seized power, Guineans finally voted on a new draft constitution that would pave the way for elections, but also permit the country's junta leader to run for president in a referendum boycotted by the opposition. The vote, which Guineans and the international community have been awaiting for years, opens the way for stalled political elections in the West African nation. The country has been ruled with an iron fist by junta chief General Mamady Doumbouya since he overthrew elected civilian president Alpha Condé in 2021. Some 6.7 million Guineans were expected to cast their ballot, out of a population of approximately 14.5 million people. Among the poorest countries in the world, despite having rich natural resources such as bauxite and iron ore, Guinea has a long history of coups and violent authoritarian regimes. Under international pressure, Guinea's military initially pledged to return power to civilians before the end of 2024. Staging a referendum has allowed the junta to deflect demands from the international community and donors to hold the election for a civilian government.
Yes, I agree with this new constitution. Why? Because it will help us, the youth, to have jobs. It will help us to get employment. And also, the president is working, because when I look today at how the roads are, the electricity, the water, it is in our interest.
The transition is not a mandate. The transition has been delayed, very delayed. It should not take more than a year and 6 months.
The new constitution would replace a transition charter established by the military government, which had prevented the junta's leaders, government members and heads of institutions from standing in elections. The stipulation does not exist in the draft constitution, thereby paving the way for Doumbouya's run. It remains to be seen how many voters will cast a ballot given the boycott and when results will be released.
19,454 polling stations counted and validated out of 23,662 polling stations. Participation rate based on counted and validated polling stations, 91.4%. Total number of voters, 4,825,292.
825,292.
For many, repression of freedom under Doumbouya is a recurrent talking point. The junta has arrested, prosecuted and pushed into exile several opposition leaders, some of whom were victims of forced disappearances. Since 2022, it has banned demonstrations, and in August, it suspended 3 main opposition parties. They were suspended for 3 months. Several media outlets have also been suspended and journalists arrested.
If Mamady Doumbouya is recognized, it will mean a continuation of his repressive practices. We do not want that for Guinea. Radio stations have been shut down, and there have been suspicious deaths in detention. So, faced with this liberticidal madness that has gripped the junta and manifested in all these acts, we do not want a continuation of such governance.
Guinea's authorities are now promising presidential and legislative elections before the end of the year. The junta has not yet set a date. Guinea's military initially pledged to return power to civilians before the end of 2024. Although its authorities are now promising presidential and legislative elections before the end of the year, the junta has not yet set a date for that poll. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.